Oh my God. The last couple of days have been amazing. I have sweat. I have taken the medicine, ayahuasca, as well as San Pedro. And I spent, I think, almost 12, almost 12 hours in the sweat lodge. It may be only 10 hours. However, that experience inside that sweat lodge was one I will never forget. Um, the sweat lodge ceremony is basically in a encased brick, short building that includes a fire pit where huge hot stones go in, and then there there's water poured over the stones, which causes all the steam, which causes you to sweat. And in this process, there were a series of blessings and prayers, as well as taking or drinking the medicine San Pedro first. And there was a total of 4 rounds. And the first 3 rounds consisted, well, 2 rounds was San Pedro only. And then the third round was San Pedro and ayahuasca. And then the fourth round was water and food, which culminated. And so the purpose of being in the sweat lodge, have a rebirth, basically being reborn from Mother Earth, and be going through the development and the pains of rebirth, so that when you come out, you are really basically a brand new person. Now, for me, the heat, the steam really helped my lungs. So I wasn't totally upset about the heat. It felt really good compared to the other 2 ceremonies, which were outside. It was rather cold and there was a lot of smoke, which didn't agree with my lungs very well. So, like I said, I took the medicine. By the third round, and before I say that, there within the ceremony are, like I said, prayers. There are blessings. There's songs. It's an entire ceremony, and it's quite lengthy, but it has a purpose. So I was very glad to experience this. It's nothing like I've ever experienced before in my life, and I went in with the intention of getting clarity, a breakthrough, finding my heart, finding my true self, um, and just creating something brand new in this world. And everything has culminated um, in into what I wanted from this experience here at Gaia Sagrada. I love that I was able to do the shaman cleansing. I was a little skeptical at first, but I'm glad I did it. It was amazing. I told you about that. And then I, of course, did some journaling before I got here. I set my intention. My soul is to be free, and my love for my life and myself and for those around me, I wanted to expand and rid myself of toxic thoughts, feelings, and people. So back to the ceremony, I went through the rounds, and by the third round, by the end of the third round into the fourth round, I started having thoughts. And at first, I was, for whatever reason, my grandparents came into my mind, my maternal grandmother and my paternal grandfather. And those two people who I know but didn't really know, they just popped into my head. And then and that was just for a little while. And then I started having these visions, and it was so amazing. There was this little girl who had a beautiful afro, beautiful skin, just filled with such innocence and joy and playfulness. And it turns out she was me, my 5-year-old self. And she came on this playground. There was lots of really pretty tall trees and this white playground and primary colors like dotted all the way through. And she laughed and she played and we talked and um, I saw her going on the slides and the swings and the merry-go-round, and she was just so happy. And she um, had on a blue coat. She had a yellow bow in her hair. And again, it was just such innocence and peace. And we started, I guess, kind of talking and sharing. And I was, telling her that she is so pretty and she's so smart and she's so um, just lovely and she's perfect the way she is. And I just started affirming her and empowering her and pouring into her all the things that I wanted to hear when I was her age. And having this feeling of security, emotional security, that I was enough, she was enough. And she there was no one else on the playground, which is interesting because she felt like it was something for herself, something that she didn't have to share, nothing she had to be obligated to invite other people into, but it was just her by herself enjoying every single part of it. And during this vision, I was in and out. This playfulness came over me, and I would giggle and I would laugh, and I was writing my name, and I was writing that I was pretty, and I was writing that I was safe and I was protected, and all of these emotions, this feeling of just overwhelming peace and joy just filled my heart and soul. And ironically, I didn't see my parents, I didn't see my siblings, I didn't see anyone there really, but I was safe, I was happy, and it felt so, so good. And, throughout this episode and vision, I would just continue to kind of play with myself and talk to myself and again affirm myself. And I can't explain all the details. I'm sure I'll write it down at some point. But after I got out of, I was, I was really out of it. I was tripping, like literally tripping really hard, and I just kept giggling to myself, and I was just this 5-year-old girl, and it was just all happiness and joy and peace and light and love, and I just loved everybody. I would ask questions, and I would be surprised by things. I would be surprised by things, and um, I was noticing it, but not noticing people around me. And I was telling myself that I have a right to take up space and I have a right to be who I want to be in this life. And I don't have to shrink myself. And it was all the things that I just felt in my soul, but had never really been able to express. But this little girl was expressing herself authentically and not making any apologies for it. Once the ceremony started to wrap up, I found myself needing to control myself and to focus. I kept, tapping myself on the forehead so I could kind of, snap out of it, but it wasn't working. And in fact, I feel like I got deeper and deeper into this trip that I was taking, and I was kind of worried that I wouldn't be able to pull myself together enough to get out of the actual sweat lodge once the ceremony was over and we were allowed to leave and have this rebirth. And as we were about to leave, I was just getting more and more excited because I was being born again and I was starting this new life again, and hope and joy again filled my heart. And so we had to crawl on all fours, because the roof was just that low. So when it was my time to come out, my legs decided to start cramping on me. It was so interesting. So I was able to get up, I was helped up, and I was wrapped up in a blanket and taken around to the around a fire pit that was going blazing by that time, and there was a heart in the made out of coals from the fire pit. It was just beautiful. Um, and so I was, had to sit down, but I was very, very wobbly. Oh my God, it was hilarious. So I finally sat down, and through this whole ordeal in the sweat lodge, I did not throw up. And usually, a lot of people did. They threw up. And I had a little, nausea. My stomach wasn't feeling that great, but I just didn't throw up. So I sat down next to another one of the my new siblings, I guess, and he's a great guy. He we exchanged greetings and everything. And I was sitting there. They told us to get closer together because we just come out of the womb. We need to be close together for warmth, etc. But then I decided that I needed to throw up, and throwing up was not very pleasant. So I threw up, and I threw up, and through the whole time, my friend next to me, he was just patting me on the back, and he was just making sure I was okay. They bought a bucket for me on the second half of my vomiting, and I just felt so sleepy, and I just wanted to lay down. I felt so tired, and because it was such a long process in the heat, and then to come out into the cold and be bundled up and among my new siblings, it was just amazing. So I finished throwing up. I had so much tissue. It was crazy because to make sure I had what I needed. I was feeling just really wobbly, unsteady. I was, still tripping. And at some point, I just need to lay my head down. So I asked my neighbor if I could lay my head on his shoulder. He was like, sure. So I did, and he laid his head on top of mine, and I just felt so safe. I felt so present, and I felt the just kindness just emanated from everyone, and it just made me feel good. And so, I was starting to make jokes. I started to ask questions. I couldn't stop giggling. And then I finally was able to, once that part of the ceremony was over, I really didn't feel like I could get up and leave because I just didn't have that strength. And then one of the staff came. Her name is Wendy. She's amazing. Came and asked me if I was ready to go and get changed into my dry clothes, and I just didn't feel like it, but I needed to use the restroom, so I headed that way. That didn't work out. I went because I just needed to sit down, so I went and sat down, and I was just still, my head was not necessarily spinning, but it was just so spaced out, and I just greeted everyone. I laughed. I was making jokes. It was just very uncharacteristic of me, but it was totally okay. I felt free. I felt so free, and I felt so present, and I felt so validated, and I just felt just that the world was mine, and it was created for me, and I could be, do, and have anything I wanted. And I was just this little girl, carefree and ready to just enjoy every single moment of my life. And I finally, my friend Quentin came in, and he saw the state I was in, and he said, he wasn't feeling that well either, but we were in front of the doors, a lot of cold air coming through, so we moved to a different place, a sofa, and I just continued on this trip of giggling, laughing, making jokes. Everything was funny. I could not stop laughing. And he, of course, was like, I see you're on this trip right now, and I know how it is for the first time when you've experienced this, and so he took care of me, and allowed me to lay on his shoulder. He allowed me to just be silly and be safe. He made sure I had water and something to eat if I needed it. Um, and eventually I was able to get up, and I think it was like 2 hours later, maybe, to go put on some clothes, some dry clothes, because I was still in my wet clothes, but I just couldn't pull myself together. But again, it was just funny. I was happy. I was free. There was no drama. It was just love and light and safety and protection. And that's all I was really needing and wanting. And I just let myself be. That was so amazing. It was so amazing. So I finally got some clothes on and came back. And by this time, more people had come in, and we just had this big slumber party going, and talking about our experience and talking about how we felt, and loving all the different parts of this ceremony. And I continued in my mirth. I could not control myself. It was hilarious. I could not. And if I had a video of it, that you'd see, but I didn't have my phone with me at that time. So um, eventually, I laid down on one end of the sofa, and I asked Quentin if I could just stretch out, and he was like, "Oh, sure, sure, sweetie, go ahead." So I did that, and um, he was very accommodating, protective, and um, laughing at me, laughing with me. And again, that feeling of love and safety and security came over me again. And I would talk to myself and comfort myself and tell myself I love me and I'm just doing so great. I talked myself through putting my clothes on, because I was just, again, I was so out of it. But I did it. I felt so proud of myself. I told myself what a big girl I am, and all the things that every little girl wants to hear. And I really didn't want to eat a whole lot of food because my stomach still was not feeling the best. But I ended up eating some little tortilla chips, which was salty, which helped my stomach. And I just continued to roll with every beautiful emotion I was having. And when I closed my eyes, I would see like fiery symbols and stuff like that. And when I talked to different people who came to check on me or just conversate with me, they looked like elves and fairies and goddesses and warriors and goddesses and warriors, and it was so beautiful. I just enjoyed it. And I didn't really get any sleep because I just was not I could not go to sleep. Um, I think I maybe dozed off a few times, but only for a few minutes. But I wasn't extremely tired. I had been laying down, kind of resting from the moment I went inside the building, and because I felt so cared for, I didn't feel exhausted. I didn't have to overthink. I didn't have to try to make things happen in work or anything like that. And it was just fantastic. And even my reactions was like a little girl. So if I didn't wasn't interested in something, I just turn my nose up, or I make faces about different things, and um, it was just so freeing. And I've never in my life felt that way. I've never in my life felt so free, felt so important and so welcome and so secure. I've never felt that. And I gave myself permission for that. It just really, really changed my life and my heart and healed me. And I'm so, so grateful for this experience. I'm grateful for the people that I've met, the people who've taken care of me, who feel like family to me. I don't know. I'm glad I came here and that I had this experience and that I opened my heart and that I allowed what needed to happen. And there was no fear. Um, no fear. I would highly recommend that if you're wanting healing for your life, If you're wanting a change and a transformation in your life, then this may be a step that you can take for yourself, but you got to start somewhere. If you want life and life more abundantly, you have to start with your healing first so that you can remove the blocks from your life, remove the things and people who don't serve you, who hinder your progress, who hinder your absolute right to be free. So, whether you do come to Gaia Sagrada or you go somewhere else, just plan on your healing, anticipate it, and allow it to happen because you absolutely deserve it. So that was my Sweat Lodge experience. I wouldn't change it for the world. It was like the best experience I've ever had in my life. And I'm so looking forward to sharing more as it comes to mind because I know there was so much more. I'm sure my dreams are going to be out of this world for a while, but I'm going to try to journal it. I'm going to try to do a vlog about it. And I'm just going to just embrace every single moment of the day. Thank you so much. Take care. See you soon.